Hey, today I'm showing you every weapon I tested in the Halo ODST Warbond on all factions. I'll also test out the new Feet First passive and see how well it works in game. Not only that, there's a lot more to discuss. If you enjoy the content, consider tapping the like button below. I'd really appreciate it. Let's jump right in. Let's start with the MA5C assault rifle and see how it performs against all Illuminate enemy types. I've got a clip of a Volus I took down with just 3 body shots. Aim for the head, it's 1 tap to the cranium. The flesh mobs on the other hand require more ammo, as you'd expect. I'll speed up this clip to show you the total amount of mags needed is 3 mags and a half of another mag. That's all you need. I believe it actually does a decent job in defeating medium-sized enemies like that. Speaking of which, a medium-sized enemy we must cover is the Overseer. The Overseer I'll show today is an easier target to hit. It's the standard Overseer, not the elevated Overseer or the other one. You can aim for the head as it's the easiest way to eliminate an Overseer, but first I'll show you how many hits you need. I've got a video clip right here on screen where I fired about half a magazine to defeat this squid. That's only if you're aiming at the chest. The head is the best place to target, and you'll want to aim there most often. As you'll see here, it's only 4 hits to the dome, and that Illuminate Overseer will drop quickly. Next, we've got the Terminates. Impalers aren't too tough to defeat. We've got 1 Impaler here, and you'll need to aim at the top of the head, firing about 2 mags above the tentacles. You'll also have some ammo left from the second magazine to dump into a nearby enemy. I also have tested this on Chargers. By the way, Behemoth Chargers have identical health on their back where we'll be targeting. Once found, unload 3 magazines on the squishy orange abdomen, and that'll be enough. On to the next, we've got Hive Guards. Since the new assault rifle is a medium penetration weapon, we don't need to aim under the armpits. We can target the front medium armor directly on its head. It'll penetrate easily, defeating the Hive Guard with about 5 shots or a quarter mag. We also have a test on Brood Commanders. Fire 5 bullets at the head to see how quickly this Terminate drops. Small Terminate enemies like Warriors are 2 tap kills. Smaller ones like Scavengers or Hunters are 1 tap to exterminate. Lastly, I'm testing the MA5C assault rifle on automatons, starting with the Hulk. The best approach for this enemy type is targeting the glowing heatsink on its back, firing 2 magazines. You'll have a bit of ammo left in the second mag. Medium-sized enemies like Scout Striders or shielded Scout Striders are easy to defeat. Aim for the pelvis, and with about 4 hits, they'll collapse. Rocket Devastators and Devastators can be 1-tap headshots, but for regular Devastators and, with a red glowing med section, it's easy to bring them down with a sliver of your magazine, around 5 to 6 shots. The second Warbond item is the SMG, which we'll test on the Illuminate first, just like the previous weapon tests. The flesh mobs will absorb most of the ammo, and as shown in this video clip, I had to unload a total of 3 magazines into 1 flesh mob before it went down. Overseers, however, will be easier to defeat since their helmets are made of medium armor, and the SMG we have currently is a light armor penetrating weapon, so aiming for the head will be ineffective. The only way to defeat an Overseer is to aim for the middle chest plate right here. If you can aim precisely there with about 10 bullets or a quarter of the magazine, you can drop this squid to the ground and have enough ammo left to take out another nearby enemy. Besides that Illuminate enemy, the Volus are obviously going to be easy to eliminate. It can be anywhere from 2 to 3 hits, as you'll notice here, so that's pretty self-explanatory. With that faction aside, we'll test how well it performs against automatons, such as Hulks. I stunned it with the Urchin, then moved directly behind the Hulk to locate the glowing heatsink. At this point, you just aim and fire at the orange heatsink. It'll take nearly your entire magazine, but you'll have some ammo left to fire at another nearby automaton, such as a Factory Strider, which we'll discuss now. The only way to defeat this specific enemy is by either attacking from behind to take out the automaton controlling it, or shooting at its legs. That's what I'll be doing here, targeting the bottom left or right leg and firing it until it drops. You'll see in the bottom left corner that I used nearly the entire magazine with maybe 5 or 10 shots left. For smaller enemies like a trooper, it'll take anywhere from 2 shots to the body or 1 shot if you aim and fire at their metal cranium. Medium-sized automatons such as the good old Devastators can be challenging if you're not aiming at their domes or the red heat sink on their bellies. You can dump a good amount of ammo into their bodies to take them out, or just one-tap them in the dome and they'll go down with ease. Besides the automaton faction, we lastly must try this out on the Terminids. We'll go ahead and start with the bigger enemies like usual. For instance, we've got a large impaler here. You'll want to wait until it exposes its fleshy tentacles and then start firing at the top portion of its dome. Surprisingly, I didn't expect this to perform well, but it took the impaler out exceptionally fast. I unloaded 1 magazine first, then ran to avoid the tentacles. After dodging them, I returned and unloaded about half of the second magazine before it completely flopped over. The next large enemy is a charger. I'm going to use the urchin grenade for this test. It does no damage whatsoever, but it'll stun the charger and stop it from rushing at me. I'll have to speed up this clip a little bit here. Nevertheless, the orange squishy part on the back is where we'll be targeting. I'll start by saying I wasn't thrilled that it took 4 magazines to destroy the orange abdomen on a charger, but since it's an SMG with a silencer, perhaps I'm being too harsh. All in all, that's how many magazines you'll need for 1 charger. Medium-sized enemies are completely different, of course. A Brood or Alpha Commander will require about half a magazine to take down, because once you pop their heads, that means they're done. They can't move anymore, right? If you're an Xbox player, beware, these enemies can still attack for a few seconds after their heads are gone, so watch out. Speaking of squashing heads, you can fire 2 shots to a warrior's cranium and they'll go down after it's popped. But again, these type of bugs can still attack you for a short time, even after their heads are gone. Smaller sized Terminids can be eliminated with 1 shot, especially the glowing green bugs called scavengers. Moving along, we've got the M90 shotgun, which isn't bad at all, though I think many of you might be disappointed. What I like about it is that it can stagger nearly almost all enemies. As you'll see, the Overseer will be pushed back and staggered for a brief moment. Additionally, the shotgun inflicts light armor penetration, so aiming for the chest blade is your best bet. If your aim is off and the pellets hit elsewhere, it'll take anywhere from 2 to 3 shots. A larger enemy like a flesh mob is a bit different. I started with 44 rounds and ended up with 32 as shown in the bottom left corner. I had to continuously dodge the flesh mob's flailing attacks, but in the end I took it down with just the shotgun. Now we're going to try it out on the Volus, which takes 1 shell per Volus. It's that quick to eliminate them. Anyway, Hulks are next on the chopping block. We'll go directly behind the Hulk and fire 3 shells at the glowing heatsink. It'll pop quickly, allowing you to escape easily. Automaton Devastators can be taken down with 1 shot to the dome or 2 shots to the red heatsink in the middle. If you're aiming sporadically and all over the place, it will of course take more shells to defeat a Devastator, whether it's a Rocket Devastator, Chainsaw Devastator, or a standard normal Devastator. Now, what about a Scout Strider or a Shielded Scout Strider? Well, it's decent, but not exceptional. Since we're using a light armor penetrating shotgun, we can aim for their weak spots, which are the legs. It takes 5 shells to collapse a Scout Strider, as you'll see here. The final enemy to test it on is the Troopers. They're like the Volus, just 1 shell, and they're completely wrecked. Finally, for the shotgun, the Terminids are up for testing, and the Charger is first. I'll hit it with an Urchin to make the testing easier and to stun it. I fired 7 shells at the orange abdomen and that's all it took. It's pretty simple to take down a Charger. So we're now going to try it out on the Charger's cousin, the Impaler. Shockingly, it takes the same number of shells as we've done before. We'll aim for the top portion of its head and fire 7 shells, just like with the Charger. Fair warning, I had to respawn after the tentacles struck me down, but I came back and unleashed 1 more shell to finish it off. Other enemy variants such as warriors, hunters, and even nursery spewers are very easy to defeat. Aim for the head and fire 1 shell and that's all you need, as you'll see here. A warrior goes down quickly, as do the hunters and the spewers I just mentioned. When it comes down to the Alpha and Brood commanders, all you need to do is pump 2 shots at the head and it'll drop quickly. Okay, the last reward on the list is the M60 pistol. I'm not sure how many of you will fall in love with this secondary, but it'll be interesting to see the comments. As always, we'll start by testing it on the Illuminate. I think it's best to begin with the Overseers. I dropped to a prone position and unloaded nearly an entire magazine into its chest plate, with about 1 or 2 shots to spare. I will say I went a bit overboard when I fired the last 2 shots. Flash mobs will definitely consume your magazine like no other. I started with 8 magazines and ended up with 1 magazine with a tiny bit of ammo left. So I strongly recommend against using it on flash mobs, as you'll waste a lot of ammo doing so. Volus, on the other hand, take 3 shots to the body or just 1 shot to their squishy tentacle domes. With that test over and done, the automaton hulks are definitely up for testing. I fired about 1 full magazine and nearly another entire magazine into its backside, where you can see the heat sink here, making it super easy to bring down. Other enemies like Devastators and their variants are going to be challenging, especially when using just this pistol. The amount of ammo can range from a full magazine to 1 shot if you aim for their heads. Both Scout Striders and Shielded Scout Striders will take an entire magazine and about a half of another magazine to drop them to the ground. Smaller enemies require anywhere from 2 to 3 shots to the body, or 1 shot if aiming at their heads. Alrighty, with that being said, we need to see how well it performs on a Charger's squishy backside. I located a Charger right here and unloaded a total of 5 magazines. You'll notice in this clip that I magically got more magazines. That's because, well, I went back to grab extra ammo just in case I needed it. In the end, it took a lot of ammo, and I wouldn't recommend using this on the Charger either. An Impaler, however, requires less ammo. I started with 6 magazines and ended up with 4, so I used a total of 2 magazines and nearly half of another to pop the Impaler's tentacle head. If we're going to talk about large enemies, we have to talk about the medium-sized enemies like a Nursery Spewer and Commanders. Spewers are going to be anywhere from 4 to 5 hits, same with the Commanders as well. You'll see here I laid in about 4 to 5 hits until the front section popped open. Warriors are 2 hits, Hunters and Scavengers can be tapped with 1 hit, and they'll just be defeated easily. Okay, we can now talk about stealth, because I'm sure a lot of you want to know, is it good? Is it bad? Can you even do it? Well, technically you cannot, because you'll see in this clip, when I shoot the Terminate, I instantly defeat it, but all of the other Terminates are notified. When it comes down to sneaking up on enemies, you can absolutely do that with feet first. It works well. As you can tell, I snuck right up behind this Overseer. I even had a player join me, but it still didn't make any sound, and I believe they had the same armor on as well. Also, earlier I was asked about a mod that I created to remove the whole entire light bug going around. When you walk around, it just shows a huge light. That I've removed, and I'll be uploading it very soon. Finally, let's discuss whether it's worth purchasing. I think the ODST Warbond is definitely great if you're a fan of Halo and love the nostalgia of ODST. If that's you, you'll absolutely fall in love with this Warbond, no doubt. The only downside is that I feel most players won't be excited about the weapons, because honestly there are better options to choose from. I'll show a few comparisons to other weapons with similar damage. Besides that, the customization option can turn many of the Warbond items we currently have into powerful weapons. Overall, I like the ODST Warbond for the memories, the armor is cool, and the shotgun has higher damage than the shotguns we currently have. The SMG, on the other hand, is very similar to the Knight SMG, so if you don't have the Super Citizen Edition, the SMG is actually worth it. Nevertheless, I like it. What about you? Do you think it's worth buying? Let me know.